Hey everyone, Matt here. President Trump is now demanding even more stimulus checks. $2,000 for adults and $2,000 for dependents. This is a game changer. So let's get right into it and talk about the latest information we have regarding stimulus checks, and the outstanding stimulus bill that President Trump has in his possession. We also want to break it down. I have a whole bunch of numbers here that I've calculated out for you to give you a better look at what does this actually mean on paper, and what is this going to do to the price tag of the stimulus bill, and what is Congress going to be looking at. I think you're going to find this to be very interesting. So let's jump right into it and talk about the latest information we have. But hey, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Matt, and if you're returning, thanks so much for coming back. I really appreciate your continued support. If you haven't done so already, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. So last night, perhaps you've already heard about this, but let's run through all of this information. And like I said, let me give you those numbers because I think you're really going to kind of get an idea of what this actually means and what Congress will be looking at specifically when they kind of address all of these numbers as far as $2,000 for everybody across the board. So last night, President Trump sent out a tweet that said $2,000 plus $2,000 for other family members, not $600. So in the current stimulus bill, this $900 stimulus bill that President Trump has, that we're all waiting for a signature on, it has those $600 stimulus checks within it. $600 for adults, $600 for dependents. Well, as of now, that $600 seems pretty small, right? I mean, it seemed small before, but now that we're talking about $2,000, $600 seems really incredibly small. So anyway, President Trump, a few days ago, as all of us know, he was out demanding $2,000 stimulus checks for adults. Well, that still kept the dollar amount for dependents at $600. Well, now with his latest tweet, he's now saying $2,000 for adults, $2,000 for dependents, $2,000 across the board. That's a massive shift. I mean, that would be incredible for so many families right now who really desperately need that money for groceries, rent, utilities, for living their lives. That would be incredible for millions upon millions of people right now. Let's look at this a little bit deeper. What does this look like? Well, this would potentially be up to $10,000 for a family of 5. Now, remember back to the first round of stimulus checks? It was up to 3 dependents is what they allowed. So in a family of 5, it'd be 2 adults and 3 dependents. Those are exactly the parameters that they allowed in the first round of stimulus checks that went out. Remember that? Just say they took those exact same parameters and applied it to this methodology, this $2,000 across the board. That'd be $10,000 for a family of 5. Now tell me that wouldn't be life-changing for a family of 5. I feel like that would be incredibly life-changing during this time, as far as maybe not so much life-changing, but necessarily bringing people back to even, more like, right? Because I'm sure everybody's in a pretty big hole right now. So at least bringing people back to even and putting some groceries in the fridge and in the pantry would be absolutely amazing for so many people right now. Let's run through these numbers a little bit deeper now. Here's the numbers that I think you're going to find to be very interesting. So in the current stimulus bill, it's a $900 billion bill, right? Well, it's just under that, but let's just call it $900 billion is the stimulus bill. This is the one that Congress passed on Monday night, and they sent over to President Trump, which he has right now. We're all waiting for a signature on it, right? So in that bill, there's $166 billion allocated for stimulus checks. Those are the $600 stimulus checks, right? Let's do some calculating here. I already did the calculations for you, but let me run through the numbers, and I think this will be interesting. So I took the $166 billion and I divided it by $600. That comes up with 276.6 million people who would be eligible for those $600 stimulus checks, okay? So that comes up with that $166 billion within the bill. So now, to determine the price tag that these $2,000 stimulus checks across the board would cost, what I did is I took the 276.6 number, which relates to the number of people receiving stimulus checks, so 276.6 million people multiplied by $2,000 comes up with $553 billion. Okay, so $553 billion is what we would need to fulfill the demands of President Trump to send out $2,000 stimulus checks for adults and dependents. Now, Where are we currently sitting? Like I said, the current stimulus bill has $166 billion allocated for stimulus checks. The new number we would need is $553 billion. That's a difference of $387 billion that we would need to come up with in order to fulfill President Trump's demands. Now, I'm not saying we can't come up with it. We absolutely can. Congress, there's a way. The money's out there. We just need to figure out a way to get Congress to come up with the money. Well, it's easy. Congress just needs to come together. But first of all, they need to wrap their head around these numbers. Remember, Congress was having kind of a hard time thinking about all this. Their heads were hurting. They were having brain problems, whatever. I was trying to think of something funny. But their brains were hurting trying to come up with this $166 billion number. Now, all of a sudden, if we throw $553 billion on them saying, hey, you guys need to come up with an extra $387 billion to fulfill the demands, I'm kind of questioning if Congress can even think that hard. You know what I mean? Like they struggled to come up with the 166. So I'm not saying it can't be done. It absolutely can be done. We just need Congress to kind of start thinking outside the box and figuring out how this can actually be obtained. Now, when we were talking about the $2,000 stimulus checks for adults and $600 for dependents, which is what President Trump's first demand was up until last night when he demanded even more, I feel like that was probably doable, right? Many people were probably thinking it's probably going to be a stretch, but we could probably get Congress to do it. Now, with this latest demand of $2,000 across the board, Congress might just kind of lock up and go in their shell. Might just go into their shells and say, that's just a little bit extreme, and we're just not even going to think about it anymore. You just never know. Congress, we're still waiting on a reaction out of Mitch McConnell. We have not heard anything from Mitch McConnell, even from President Trump's first demand multiple days ago for the $2,000. So we're kind of wondering, where's Mitch McConnell stand right now? What is his take on all of this? So it's certainly going to be interesting to see what all of these people come together with. Now, at the same time, the House is planning on voting on a standalone bill tomorrow to address the $2,000 stimulus check demands from President Trump. Now, it makes me wonder, are they going to amend the bill or amend the proposal that they're going to be voting on tomorrow to say $2,000 stimulus checks for adults, $2,000 stimulus checks for dependents? You would have to think so, because these are the latest demands out of President Trump. So you would have to think, if the House is going to be voting, that they'll need to amend what they're going to be voting on, right? Because if they push it through and say, well, we got the $2,000 for adults and we're maintaining the $600 for dependents, President Trump may come out and say, well, that's actually not what I called for. I called for $2,000 across the board for everybody. So it kind of puts everybody into a little bit of a sticky situation right now, whereas it's kind of making you wonder, will President Trump accept anything less than that? As in, will he compromise and say, okay, we'll take a little bit less than that? Or is it like a hard and fast line? This is it. It's $2,000 or nothing kind of thing. So that's the deal. At the same time, last night, unfortunately, over 10 million, over 12 million people have lost their unemployment benefits. So all of those people who were receiving all of these unemployment benefits, they expired as of last night. So here we are. We're going into uncharted territory where another, let's just call it 12 plus million people have lost benefits literally at the snap of a finger as of last night. Done. That's it as of right now. So we're still waiting on that signature from President Trump. It's completely up in the air at this point if he's actually going to sign. Based on what it's sounding like and the commentary we're getting on all of this right now out of President Trump and the couple people in Congress that are speaking on all of this, it sounds like it's highly unlikely that we're going to get a signature on this thing. So we're still within this 10-day period. It's not exactly sure when this 10-day period started, but either way, we're still within it right now. I talked about that in yesterday's video, but this is the first hammer to drop. The 12 million people losing their unemployment benefits. That's the first hammer. The next hammer is coming down tomorrow. That's the next one. So Congress is going to be voting tomorrow on an extension of the continuing resolution. In other words, to keep the government funded for another unspecified amount of time. Maybe it's a couple days, maybe it's a week or two, maybe it's a month until after the inauguration of the new administration. We don't know what it's going to be, but either way, they're going to be voting tomorrow on another continuing resolution to keep the government funded. But remember, Congress can pass it all they want, but if they don't get a signature from President Trump, it does nothing. Once again, like I said, it's a stack of worthless paper unless it gets a signature from President Trump. So we'll watch that tomorrow. The next hammer, it's all locked up and ready to drop. And if we don't get a signature from President Trump on that continuing resolution, the government goes into a shutdown as of Tuesday morning. So that's the next one coming down. We're running out of time here. I've been saying this for so long now. I mean, we were really hoping we'd get a signature on the stimulus bill before yesterday's deadline that would come down for those 12 million plus people losing their unemployment benefits. That's a sad situation. And another thing too, I want to mention this. In the stimulus bill, there is no retroactive pay for those individuals receiving unemployment benefits. So whenever he signs it, if/when he does, there's no retroactive pay. So these people are floating. That's it. They are floating until we get a signature. So I hope these people have something to fall back on during this time, because this is getting to be scary. There are a lot of people that literally have nothing coming in at this point. So that's the next one. And then the last hammer, like I said, December 31st, is that eviction ban expires. Whew. Let's just hope between now and then we get something coming down as far as some kind of relief. You know, in yesterday's video, I posted a video yesterday evening, and I can't believe how many people were leaving comments down below saying, hey, I got 57 cents in my bank account. I have $1.49 in my bank account. I got $2. I have $0 in my bank account. It's scary to see so many people out there that are literally holding on by barely even a thread, like a thread that's all like tattered and torn, right? This is scary stuff. I mean, it's scary that we've even gotten to this point. I feel like who's to blame at this point? I feel like it's everybody in Congress. They wasted so much time over the last 8 months when so many people were begging for assistance. Hey, we need assistance, Congress, and they just sat on their hands doing nothing other than working for a week and then going on vacation for a month. You remember that whole story? We talked about it for the last 8 months. So this is scary. But anyway, I'll keep you posted, everybody, with everything going on. I hope all of you are staying safe through this time. And trust me, I'll be back with any new information that we have regarding the latest developments. But either way, stay safe, do what you can. I'll continue doing research and see what other resources I can find to help all of you navigate this time. So there's other resources out there. I'll do what I can to find some more information. I'll produce some more videos to help all of you through this time, assuming nothing else is coming. At this point, you know, we kind of have to assume nothing else is coming until we get a signature or we get another a new standalone bill or something out of Congress. But either way, I'll keep you posted. Enjoy your day. I'm always here for you. Stay safe, and I'll catch you in the next video. Thanks, everybody. See you later.